But across the board, we've kind of seen a lot of flexibility when you look at other regions as to what champions are being picked and where exactly they're being put.
Well, we go to pick ban. Let's get this show started. Yunara already off the board straight away. Rumble as well on blue side, which can be rare with the amount of fishes we've had for that game 1, game 2. Pantheon goes alongside with it. Seems like Talia still there and available as well. And I'm trying to think, where else do we go, Dagda? Like, what has been the new priority as my biggest other question towards that is like it's no longer the Varus. I mean, first pick.
Yeah, the Varus is still there though, and the likes of the Talia and stuff are still quite prominent. I'm kind of surprised to see the Rumble and the Poppy priority from MKOI. Definitely feels much more targeted towards Fnatic. Oscarinin has kind of relied going back towards this Rumble.
Yeah.
And now the vibe gone as well. So things like the Orianna, very high priority. The Varus is going to be high priority, which is going to immediately be taken. But also then, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic just immediately go towards something like a Wukong Orianna or a Zinzao Orianna and just secure a strong mid jungle for themselves here.
Strong mid jungle feels like a bigger takeaway. I mean, getting Orianna Wukong is such a big take when that lethality Varus globally has been not just nerfed, but it has just been so less valuable here as a B1.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are kind of starting to figure out how to fight against this. Like, we've seen champions like Corki going into the bottom lane to try and have that fighting mobility power, having decent wave clear as well towards that mid lane, but we'll have to see exactly what the plan is. Immediate Galio in towards the Orianna as well. So this says to me that MKOI are setting up for something like a Gwen or something like that in the top side for Myrwn to provide a little bit more of that AP damage.
Which gives the versatility to the Galio, I get it. Sivir going to be locked in first, so over to Upset. This is an early AD carrier, but to survive the lane and scale here. Looks like Fnatic are really putting the cards in the team fight front-to-back basket.
Yeah, I think it's going to be trying to get rid of some of that that power here for MKOI for Fnatic as well. Like, we talked about the Gwen potentially being a takeaway in that top side.
Yeah.
Maybe, I was going to say you want to try and limit the support pool here, but surprised to see the Alistair, because generally you're... actually, no, I take that back. The Alistair actually a good ban into the Sivir, and then we're going to have to see basically what they want to try and continue with here. But I do think limiting that top lane pool makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Also with the Jax ban too, maybe it could be something like, you know, the Gwen for MKOI 2 with the AD jungler, I will say. You brought it up for the pick of Fnatic here, but Jax usually one of the good options to take into it. Let's see how we digress with the pick ban pool, because I feel like Ornn is something I was speaking about the other day. Good engaged tanks in top, like Sion also really spring to mind at the moment with how much good health there is in the game and how much little there is to stop it.
Especially for Fnatic's composition, I think the Sion could work out really well. And even with the game plan that Fnatic have been bringing to the table, which is leave Oscar a little bit by himself, focus on towards Upset and getting him into a position where he's very far ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised fully to see a Sion lock here. And then the question is, what does Myrwn want to try and answer into? And I imagine Alvaro more than likely going to go something like the Rell along these lines in that bottom side to just round out a nice team fighting composition, honestly, on both sides here.
I like Rell. Good call out, Dagda. Okay. Good engage. Fnatic are making it super simple for themselves in game 1. Note that MKOI, they preempted this Galio. We know it's going into an AP mid, but maybe compositionally it has more usages and a bit more flexibility, but now all the cards are going to be on the table. MKOI have to go 4 and 5. Xayah picked up. Okay, Myrwn. Okay, I forgot. When we see Varus, we got to remember in this team, it is more than just meets the eye.
Yeah, going to end up swapping that around. So Myrwn going to take that Varus into the top side, providing a lot of that on hit damage. And now it does make a lot of sense.
Like, I was like, forgot the Varus.
Yeah, I mean, the Galio is going to provide the frontline that they need realistically, right? And trying to buy space now for this double AD carry. So I think if I'm Fnatic, I want something that is going to do basically be another engage tool and a bit of a frontline tank, because the reason we've started to see a shift away from a lot of these carry top laners is how well do you survive, I was going to say in a lane swap, but Fnatic actually just going to answer with its own carry in the top side and go for the Aurora.
And I'd be curious because the Aurora really deals with good with melee matchups, but against the Varus, this will be really interesting. I remember MKOI, their option into the Rumble top was this Varus. But now the counterpick for Oscarinin, and he's got big shoes to fill because this is going to be such an important matchup for MKOI, especially when top seems so volatile now.
And also, this was kind of Myrwn's special build with the X-Blade, which also got some nice buffs as well. So coming through for the Varus could be just a nice angle to see how that is going to try and fare up. But on both sides, you kind of got just very good engaged, strong disengaged tools coming through from MKOI, and a lot of upfront burst coming through on both sides. So I think for either of these squads, it is very much going to be a case of who can dictate the pace of the early game and start to set up around objectives first for their squad.
It's going to be important. It's going to be crazy, though. Both these teams really don't hold anything back, and I know that's just a quote, that's just an excerpt, but it's just something casters say to get you riled up. But Fnatic and Movistar KOI...
Tricks of the secret.
But there's no tricks here. It's all up front because KOI and Fnatic, these are the Barney teams. These are the teams that, you know, go into a pub, have a couple, and they start fighting, right? And Dagda, I'm not saying that because you're Irish. I'm just saying that because as an Australian, I resonate with that too. Maybe I am. But I hope you all understand that this series leading towards Worlds has now begun.
Huge amount on the line for both of these squads. And it's a little heartbreaking to see that some of the lines are going to be drawn between friends, but both the Spanish players on either side.
Yeah.
Already, Jojo stepping up here.
He's going around the wall. He's going to be found out. Razork just sends the pole at him. The nice white flag. But yeah, Mickey's not going to commit anything like a flash or an engage. So Jojo will walk it out here as we welcome you to game one.
But it does deny the placement of the ward in that top side. So it means they won't really have an idea as to where Raz... Actually, I say that as Supa making his way onto the bottom side after spotting everyone top side. So they at least get some vision in the enemy side of the jungle to spot exactly what is happening. But Fnatic going to be a little bit more blind as to exactly where Elyoya is going to begin his journey.
Quick note that Myrwn has gone for Comet in this game. It was going to be a question, you know, you talked about experimental Hexplate. Usually like on-hit builds like Quinsu's that accompany it. It does feel like this game, Myrwn has opted in to be a bit of extra range in a comp that is very committal, very all-in.
Also cool to see Razork starting with the sweepers there. So it moves up into that top side to deny Myrwn vision in that top brush.
Yep.
So then you can't actually trade as effectively as Myrwn. Essentially what you wanted to do was try and have control of that. So then when you're pushing the wave, if Oscarinin tries to trade and step into the bush, the minions still continue attacking, but that's going to be denied now. And giving a little bit less control to MKOI on that top side.
MKOI, meanwhile, on the bot side, are trying to get this 2v2 all in. Very important to note, with Zhao and Rakan being together. Feels nice. As crash down from Mickey, though. Mitigates a little bit of threat. However, Upset is one who takes the worst trade, and Supa and Alvaro are just chilling here. Fnatic most likely to lose the 2v2 and 2 first, going over to Supa and Alvaro.
Yeah, MKOI want to try and get that crash on the bottom side because you can already see Razork moving down from this top half of the map. Ooh, is Myrwn.
That's why you pick Aurora. that's why. Oh, damn. It is only level 1 Varus, though, so I completely understand that Myrwn just got chunked out heavy. But regardless, that's going to give Oscarinin a lot of this early lane pressure that we're hoping to see our Fnatic's top laner. Which
is going to be huge for Oscarinin, because he hasn't exactly had the best of times, and a huge amount of criticism has been levied towards the Fnatic top laner. So coming out with a different pick than we traditionally see from him, and looking good in the early game, if you can get control against Myrwn, it could change a lot of the thought process for a lot of the fans who are kind of looking at Fnatic as a bit of a question mark coming into this play.
And Oscarinin's been a big question mark. I think Myrwn has been the person that's always got this flexibility with champions. Might not be like 1 or 2 in the league right now, but I think Myrwn is always near the top, where Oscarinin's in question with a high level of variance.
Yeah, whereas I think the best performing for Fnatic has been this bottom lane. I think Upset and Mickey have been the shining light, alongside obviously Poby coming into the roster, but I do think, especially for like Mickey and Alvaro, these guys have been such stellar performers for both of these squads, and I think it's sick to see essentially the 2 best supports that we have in the league now fighting it off in this bottom lane.
It's a good way to find him again, I think, as well. Second swear on broadcast, technically, is Mickey's milestones. I mean, this guy has been around for the longest time. Like, it's crazy to see. He really is Europe now. Like, when you think about LEC and European League of Legends, you know, he's up there with legends like Caps. He's just been around that long. 11 titles is wild. And when he's going up against Alvaro, who is this new player for the past couple of years coming in with big expectation, he's got a big shoe to fill, especially when Mickey gets a double crash down. Razork's coming in, only level 4. Supa holds on to Summoners, gets a root back, but it's not a root. His flash now gone, the all in there. Razork hits him and flashes, gets out with the last auto securing. And just as we hype up Mickey, he does that.
And exactly what we expected from Fnatic coming into this. Focus on that bottom side, because Alvaro and Supa have been outstanding for MKOI, and really a point that you want to try and put down in the early game so they can't find that later game success. And unfortunately for MKOI, Fnatic managed to get that play in the bottom side, and this is what we're talking about. Razork could full cleared onto this bot end of the map, and MKOI a little bit overextended. Great flash engage from Mickey, and Supa, a good idea here to try and flash, get that CC on towards Razork and try and escape, but just couldn't quite get that third feather to connect. It meant he didn't get the root, and he ends up falling as a result.
Razork getting first blood as well, very impactful to get the sheen here in jungle, and that was before 6. It's not often you talk about how impactful Wukongs can be pre-6 without that ulti, so that first blood means a lot here for Fnatic, especially when we hyped up the bot lane being one of the selling points.
And that's what I was going to say, is that I feel like, you know, Mikyx has been around for so long in the LEC as kind of the undisputed king of support.
Yeah.
But then you get to see Alvaro coming in, and honestly, he's dethroned him over the last couple of splits.
That is true.
Alvaro's been exceptional in this bottom lane and has really kind of set the standard that a lot of supports need to try and strive for. But this time around, Mikyx showing that this old dog still has a couple of tricks in him.
Definitely going to be about how Alvaro syncs up with the rest of the map. He's helping out Jojo for now. A bit of a battle dance over to this Galio, who previously before on camera we saw get chunked out to less than 100 HP. So already the range advantage from Poby is showing yet another good lane. And I think when people think of the greatest of some time, they do think about his Orianna in the shadow of the king he studied under for many years. Poby's Orianna is a far cry, but still one of his best champions of all time.
Yeah, I think something that will do exceptionally well in this as well, like Wukong and Orianna has become one of the premier duos for the mid jungle, because in the early stages you get a shield and a speed up, which can be very strong for the Wukong, but also then the combo when you hit level 6 is so difficult for squishy members of MKOI to deal with. And I think that's kind of where at least you've got things like the Xayah and that to try and dissuade some of that aggression, but I think Myrwn will definitely be feeling the brunt of that pressure as this game goes on.
Yeah, again, top lane has been a major focus. I just quickly want to come back because we don't often get to talk about my GOAT, which is an utter lie, so I'm going to talk about him anyway. My GOAT and my Canadian maple syrup. Like, this right now feels like such a good matchup because Jojo's development this year has been insane. He's really stepped up. He's European now. Maybe he can get some help from Elyoya as they're moving towards Dragon, but Poby, I mean, he's got some great laning stats, as you can see. This Korean import is doing wonders too.
Nice job from MKOI here, though, to push in and get the control over River to contest this Dragon. And Fnatic just not really having the control that they wanted. Steal from Mikyx with the smite, though.
Mikyx just walked in! Razork didn't even
They're
press
not even
his
the best junglers on the Rift, Hysterics.
That's exactly what John Lennon said, isn't it? Oh, man. That wasn't, like, it's not often we get support steals, but because of the way Spellbook's changed with Smite, early game is a breeze if you get Smite early enough.
I mean, I'm shocked that it's not just the other way, because I think MKOI did a good job of, hey, we're going to move Elyoya in towards mid, force Poby to back off, and then we can re-establish control in River, and it was a great move from MKOI, but Fnatic managing to sneak that one away from underneath their noses. Will give themselves that first Dragon. Now they get to move up on towards this top side as well, so they'll be able to get push. And looking at that, those Voidgrubs in 35 seconds should be a decent opportunity for them.
And I think when we're talking about Fnatic's comp, the fact that they steal that Dragon away means so much in the grand scheme of things when you have a Sivir, right? Sivir, Orianna, this big scaling, and may I note that, you know, a lot of the time it has been Rod of Ages Orianna. Poby's going a different path, but regardless, it's scaling. And for Fnatic, that's a big takeaway, the fact that they've stymied this game in the early game a little bit, and as this lane swap comes through, they're in a decent position depending on grubs. Supa's just going to receive the wave here, and Razork, excuse me, is now level 6 and around the top side.
Yeah, now level 6 is coming through for the supports though, which is pretty nice. So, pretty big point. So I think for Fnatic, they'll be lucky to just try and take one Voidgrub, I think, here. And the early game from MKOI is just very, very strong, especially with Supa now hitting 6. I don't know if you're going to be able to fight against like Zinzao with the Galio at the top of the taunts and the CC. So I think if you can get one and maybe walk away, you should be happy enough.
That cheeky one smite and then just leave the rest to the enemy team. Well, for MKOI, they're coming in regardless. There's that singular smite. Razork's going to commit for 2, but Elyoya, as you said, over the wall using Galio, who can enter in. Jojo doesn't have much mana, though. Actually, Jojo's mana pool maybe deterred them, as he's on 200, if that.
Also the roam from Oscarinin, so he ends up pushing in that bottom wave and moving up, so multiple members of Fnatic in the vicinity, so don't feel comfortable, but here we go.
They're going in. Remember that Galio here is then going to be a one-tap in. They're going to find Razork, but it's cancelled. He got cancelled through mid, so only the MR shield as Elyoya brings in the sun with the Crescent Guard, hits Razork, the slow, the feathers as well. Monkey run, but Monkey can't go far. Supa going to get the root down, the first on the board for MKOI.
Nice turnaround from MKOI. Huge interrupt, as you say, from Poby with that shockwave to stop Jojopyun from being able to follow through, because that could have been an absolute game changer for Fnatic in that river. But MKOI get one back and managed to at least get something for those Voidgrubs.
At least something to the AD carry as well. So with all 3 Voidgrubs going down, a bit more gold in the back pocket here as we crest upon the 10-minute mark. Fnatic are going to get a push in top. Look how late Supa's going to be here because they committed deep for that kill. cannon wave though, so you got to argue it's probably not going to go down, or rather not going to get it. But let's look at the replay regardless as this all-in comes in.
Yeah, I mean, great timing there. Alvaro hit 6 off the wave and immediately MKOI looked for the play, but this is what we're talking about, the shockwave interrupting the Galio from able to join in. But it doesn't matter, MKOI, they're just able to chase them down. Nice setup here, and the kill going across the Supa will set him up. And this has been kind of the focal point for a lot of MKOI, is just how good Supa has looked in a lot of these team fights coming into summer, and I think he's now in a decent position to try and follow that through.
And we talked a lot about in the back end, like what makes MKOI tick, and there's been conversations about Elyoya, about Alvaro, how they sync up, but I think in the late game, we know the team fighting from Supa has trumped beyond all. And that's what's made him one of the greatest AD carries of our time in our league, right? Time is speculative. It depends on what timeline we're talking about, but regardless, like, he's got Super in his name and he's got Superstar in his game. That's what we're expecting here in this one, is Xayah alongside the Sivir. That scaling element is also there. Let's not forget, like, Xayah, 4-5 items. That carry is also insane.
Yeah, the only worry now for MKOI is Dragon is going to be in about 55 seconds. You don't have flash on Alvaro to try and make these big plays, whereas Fnatic now have crested over to level 6 on Mikyx. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to try and make these plays happen. And I think that sets up then easier for someone like Razork, who has flashed us as well, to try and make the plays. So I think for MKOI, they're going to have to be a little careful in how they try and approach this Dragon in the next couple of seconds with the lack of summoner spells on some of their key engage tools.
Looking now, Elyoya, what's that timer on the flash? 2 minutes 50, so you're dead on. 25 seconds till the Dragon, as you were mentioning. Jojo should have his ulti up in that time. And again, maybe Fnatic just say, well, look, how strong are we feeling right now? Is one item really enough to fight, and they forego it? But we're going to find out shortly anyway. Dagda, I just love that in this first game, we've had really fun drafts. It has been a little bit slow in terms of kills, but like, I'm just surprised that the Varus and Aurora top hasn't been more explosive. It's been about bot. What would you expect? Mikyx gets a double stun up with a Magna Storm. Alvaro returns as though the feathers fly, and where's the damage? Upset. Autos helps out. Super dies, but now here's Elyoya getting a double spear as well. He's have to 1v3. Crescent Guard comes out, but the low mana on Upset, he's just ordering. That's all he can do with lethal tempo. So Elyoya will survive. Alvaro sleeks out of the back of the fight, as well as Jojo and Poby fighting it out. A shockwave brings him in, and with a bit of dissonance, it's close, but Poby also runs out of mana.
Elyoya just spotted on the ward, sitting there, and Fnatic saw their opportunity to make the play on bot side, and it's kind of been these small windows where MKOI haven't quite got that wave crashed in onto the bottom side that's opening up for Fnatic to find these quick picks.
Elyoya, a bit of a saving grace in the end of the fight, though, and even though a kill goes over to Fnatic, it does still go over to the Monkey King. So Razork is the one succeeding off the early gold. Elsewhere is pretty much even here, as we're about 12.5 minutes.
But again, Poby's been doing fantastic on matching every roam that's coming through from Jojo to stop him having that ultimate to engage. But we see here Elyoya spot on the ward, and immediately Razork just uses the pink as MKOI are trying to look for the play, and they're just too far overextended. Great call from Mikyx as well to go for Supa, because it means that then you separate out the Lovers duo, so you can't get that extended retreat from Alvaro. And Upset then able to not quite finish off Alvaro, but still gets one. And then Alvaro has to run for the hills. It's just too many members of Fnatic still left.
Why am I surprised that Fnatic just keep playing through bot? Look, he's here again! Shattering Strike, crash down. Alvaro tried to save the play with the boomerang coming back in. Supa might be dead again! Razork lives here! This is his home!
And you can see it there at the bottom of your screen, just how often this man is in the bottom side of the map. It is absolutely absurd. And now Fnatic starting to pick up the pace here. A 1k gold lead, another Dragon to their name. And you already kind of highlighted this there. It's not like they don't scale well into the rest of this game either.
Yeah. I mean, I see a Sivir. I say scale. Sivir.
Scale.
Oh, I was meant to say scale. I already messed it up anyway. But you said it. You know, that's where you fill in my...
Scale.
Yep. Perfect. All right. We are a...
Duo?
Yeah, we are. See, he reads my...
Sandwiches.
That's right. Well, meanwhile, Fnatic on bot turret. After Dragon goes down, it's 2 dragons. It's plating for the Sivir. Trying to defend their place of honor as Alvaro sets up. Galio here, his entrance good, and Mikyx crashes down his Magna Storm on his dying breath as the Cyclone kills Supa again, but this time Elyoya is none the wiser. He comes in, trying to fix the play with the Winds of War, and the spear out. It's a double over to the Spanish legend.
This time around, Jojo was able to make his way down to the bottom side, and that's the difference maker right there. MKOI getting 2 back for themselves. Unfortunately, it's still a 1-4 for Supa, but at least the team is thriving off of his downfall.
I think Razork just wants to increase his stats, but Elyoya is starting to shadow a real good piece of news. As he's got a small gold lead. Mikyx has just recovered. He's teleported in, and now he's got to crash down onto Myrwn, who can't move between worlds. Flashes away. The burst is immense as Myrwn tries to send out his ulti. He does so successfully, but Oscar is not in kill range. Alvaro now has to back up as Myrwn almost dies.
And Fnatic going to just try and set up for the pushes that they need to. As Rift Herald is up and available, I think the fact that Myrwn got that final poke back onto Oscarinin meant that there just wasn't as much movement now for Fnatic over towards the objective. That could have been a very different story, but Fnatic now going to take it easy, try and re-establish their lanes. I may honestly, from the looks of it, forego attempting this Rift Herald play. Oftentimes when we get an Orianna, we'll see teams focus more on when she's in a side lane, protecting her, rather than going for the Rift Herald and ensuring that she can get the CS she needs to go toward the later portion of the game.
Especially when, by the way, that's the first item there. Blackfire Torch is just showing you for full scaling, not Rod of Ages, but hey, never mind. Poby in a bit of trouble here. Good burst damage from the tank Galio, but that's where it ends for Jojo. He needs another cycle here as Winds of War also goes a little bit shallow. Razork, his bot lane is not there, but he does like bot lane.
Yeah, but I think Jojo's already done a good job here. So he's managed to force Poby back just off that initial trade. It's kind of difficult to take down Jojo with how tanky he is at the moment. So you don't get to actually get CS onto Poby, which was the goal for Fnatic, and MKOI get to get the Rift Herald. So they're just winning on both sides of the map now.
It is kind of rare to see Galio in measure with Orianna CS.
Yeah,
no, he comes back around, I guess. Looking at the mini-map, he's just there. Cyclone in, Jojo. Will he find an escape? His ulti not there. Shockwave brings him back in with the Cyclone damage as well. Bonk on the head, it's a kill. Over to Myko.
Jojo thought he got the win and ends up extending too far, and that time around Razork able to sneak in behind him, but once more Myrwn, no
It's a between worlds again, and Mikyx, they're just repeating it, but this time Myrwn has no escape. Dagda called the flash, and Myrwn goes down in a crash.
Alright, scrap it. Fnatic would have raided on both sides, but MKOI want to try and win in the mid lane. Immediately place that Rift Herald. Mikyx starting to sneak in behind. No ult on both Razork and Mikyx will make this a little bit more difficult to follow up, and they're happy to just continue the pressure on the side lanes instead.
And although that mid turret goes down, that pressure will amount, and Fnatic getting a turret. So those two kills, bot turret as well. Dagda, thank you for the clarification. That's a huge win for Fnatic. Movistar KOI had to just pick up the pieces of whatever was left, right? That mid lane seemed to be it, and as that turret goes down, 3,000 for Fnatic here at the 17-minute mark.
And this is insane to see for Fnatic. This was a team that had a lot of doubts leveled at it, especially after G2 kind of gave them a bit of a walloping.
True.
Like, it did not look great for them, but this strong early game, clear game plan and trying to play around upset and get him into a position. Poby doing a fantastic job of keeping Jojopyun honest in that mid lane. And now they enter the mid game with a 3k gold lead, 2 dragons to their name. This is a much stronger looking Fnatic than what we got in the regular season.
It definitely is. Again, we haven't seen them for so long. We talked about it on Death 3-4 weeks. It's been a stretch since Fnatic have actually shown up, and everyone's wondering what form. They only have scrims to go on. And I hate when it's only scrims, because a lot of the time, as teams have said, players have said, analysts have said, it never translates into actual gameplay. This is the only thing you have, their actual stage presence, which in game 1 is a bit of a glaze, but seems to be coming through as third dragon on the way in 45 to show if Fnatic are ready to fight again.
They want to try and contest this red. Oscarinin moving back towards top side. I think like this is decent pressure to put down, but even if you don't steal the red again, it's just kind of like, hey, we're keeping Poby safe. And that is kind of the main game plan here for Fnatic until they can reach third dragon now in 30 seconds. Reset's coming through a little late, so maybe MKOI have an opportunity to try and push in and get some vision down, but they're playing so defensive in their own jungle because of that initial invade. I think they'll find it tough to really contest some of this spot.
So they need to start grouping up then. Reed contesting the vision is not a one-man job. Alvaro just going to poke his head in, but he drops nothing of his own. Elyoya going to lens. They both do, in fact. And junglers face off across a wall as Dragon now spawns.
Both TPs for Fnatic not up though.
Oh, quickness comes in. Rather, it's just a Cyclone. Razork finds 2, and Supa has to kite back yet again. Elyoya is now isolated though, bringing the Galio. He'll survive for now. It's a bait. It's a glorious bait. And now Jojo gets a clean sweep. Mikyx a great engage, but his damage is dead. When you need a man, you call down Jojo.
Fnatic needed to burst out MKOI to make that play work, but they don't manage to get it. And MKOI rally beautifully. The TP was there for Jojo if he needed it with that ultimate, and they're just able to completely turn around. Oscarinin couldn't join. He had no summoner spell available.
These are high-impact ultis. Time and time again, we've had one cancelled in the game, but the other 2 have made or broken the fight, and most of the time, it's in MKOI's favor. Dragon goes down. They stop the stacking. Gold is even. That was a 2,500, maybe 3,000 gold play.
And you can understand, hey, look, maybe we can make something happen. It's just Elyoya and Supa. They spot Myrwn on bot side, but not being able to burst down Supa because of the ultimate and having the ability to reposition here was huge because it gives the time for Jojo to roam down from the top side. He gets the ultimate, which then protects so many of the low health members, and Fnatic, they just don't have anything to really follow up on because, again, Oscarinin was waiting on that TP. It was just seconds away.
And now because of that, a lot of those ultis are down. Razork still on a cooldown, Mikyx the same. Short to come up, but maybe I should be talking about MKOI's, Jojo, Supa, both ulti cooldowns with Alvaro as well. So as Rakan starts, a lot of the firing power is on pause for Movistar KOI.
But Fnatic just trying to play off the window where Jojo doesn't have an ultimate. Will have to TP down. He's going to look for the reset. I imagine complete his second item and then try and come into the fight.
Mikyx misses. TP comes in. Alvaro slowed down at 4.8k. Rakan is a big throw maybe, but with the Magnus Storm, the Shockwave, a singular. Oh, it's not great for Fnatic. And Mikyx goes down, and all of a sudden, the fight looks good for the Movistars again. Poby gets Alvaro, but the Rakan goes to Elyoya. That's simple for MKOI as they snatch what was easily taken.
MKOI are punishing Fnatic so well. They bought enough time for Jojo to complete his second item. That Riftmaker coming through right as he TPs back into the fight. And as a 5-man unit, Fnatic don't stand a chance.
Oscar walking up to the Galio. He almost has flash available, trying to run for his life. And the rabbit will get out of the hat, but man, Movistar flipped this game around. So look at the replay again.
Well, you can see they're just trying to buy time. You've got the TP from Jojo. He just finished his Riftmaker. Now he's coming in. But Fnatic are completely separated here. There's a split call on, do we finish the objective? Do we fight the fight? What are we trying to achieve here? And because you got Poby up in this spot over here, he's not actually able to DPS the Rakan.
True.
So MKOI take the fight. They kill Mikyx, move into the space that's then created, steal the Rakan, and end up in a wonderful spot.
There's a discussion on the Rap stream today as well, where, you know, a lot of the early games, and we've seen since the introduction of Rakan, where there's so many games thrown over it, right? Like, people maybe overseas the value of Rakan, and while it is, as we talked about, very valuable, like 3,000 gold, games are actually lost over it more times than I can count. And that felt like a moment there where Fnatic may have just lost, you know, an already weak grip on this game one.
I can understand the thought process from Fnatic, which was Jojopyun doesn't have ultimate.
Yeah.
We can use that timing window to take the fight, but the split call on what to do in the middle of the fight is really what tore Fnatic apart. And I think this is where we kind of see the differences between what has been the strength for MKOI, which is them working on that split-second decision-making, coming into fights, understanding exactly what they want to achieve out of it, whereas for Fnatic, a lot more discussion seems to be happening about what the hell are we actually doing here.
The question for a lot of teams, but I do like that there hopefully will be an answer. In this first game, 1,500 gold lead for MKOI. They've got a Dragon before, and the next one's coming up in 150, but Baron will spawn alongside it. We've got Supa almost 3 items on this Xayah with the most sizable lead alongside Elyoya, who in this game, he wasn't the one getting off the initial ganks, but his response, his counter ganks, are really what sees the first 15 minutes of the game from being on the brink of despair.
Yeah, I mean, look, it went to crap. Like, Supa was 1 of 4. He wasn't having the best of times, but now that he's managed to pick up a bunch of... Oh, hang on.
I talked about him. Is he caught out? Double Cyclone with the flash committing onto Myrwn, who has no escape. Chains of Corruption slows down the play, but Mikyx matches the flash and pulls the magnet in. Upset will take 1 as MKOI are lured away. The play is done.
Yeah, nice job from Fnatic. Should be able to now move back down towards this bottom side, just again punishing the fact that Jojo didn't have a TP, so attacking the part of the map that in theory MKOI thought was stronger.
Are they really going to lose anything from that, though? I mean, Myrwn did lose his flash, so that's a big deal. Elyoya as well. Razork had to commit his. I'm looking at Mikyx. He's sitting on a heal right now that's down with a Hex flash. A couple of ult usage as well, Dagda. What do you think? What's the call on worth him?
Yeah, I think they're trying to essentially say, hey, there's 45 seconds until Dragon. We pick off Myrwn, we try and re-establish control over bot and in mid, and then we can use that to come in towards the pressure on the Dragon. But not having ultimates makes this fight significantly more difficult. Luckily, I think they should have most of them back up in that time. They may have to just try and stall this out a little bit until those ultimates come back.
A quick side note, progression of items here. I keep putting circles around it because I want people's eyes to see how, I guess, less familiar this item build is. We normally get the gunblade, you know, the belt, the gun, whatever you want to call it. And Rod of Ages has been the go-to recently as well.
Yeah, I mean, Horizon Focus got buffed in this patch, so it's nice to try and pick up, and Blackfire Torch still does quite a bit of damage, but
The vision's nice as well for Orianna to poke out. Elyoya just got poked out massively by Poby, by the way. Half HP is Dragon Spawn.
Yeah, so MKOI fighting off of that mid wave, trying to make sure they can push it in.
Alvaro commit, misses, still has the quickness up. He finds Poby, who has to flash away into the back of the fight between Worlds with the shockwave. Catches 3! The greatest of some time might be in time. Elyoya dives on the burst. Fnatic hold on to 4, but MKOI got blown away by the Faker protege.
Poby got out of there in the nick of time. Just as the engage comes through, the flash away, the follow-up isn't there, and MKOI overextending for the Fnatic mid laner. Give Fnatic that opportunity to fight back.
All those flashes up, held nicely. Fnatic just pull the leverage back with gold. We are at an even game state again as this replay of the shockwave and the commit from MKOI happens.
And I can understand here, upset is shown on that top wave, so they're like, okay, we have a time, but Oscarinin with a great flash away. Poby as well, just able to flash away from Elyoya. The shockwave then, with that follow-up, as you say, from the Mikyx engage. Beautiful stuff there from both of the AP carries on Fnatic squad.
I saw Mikyx with the Magnet Storm almost pull them away from the shockwave, so there was like a fine line between anti-synergy and making it kind of like Electric Magnet Storm itself. But regardless for Fnatic, big play. They got the Dragon. They're now on Soul Point for an Ocean game when we've had so many team fights when it feels like we're going to get so much more.
I don't think we're out of the woodwork yet. The fact that you managed, at least for Fnatic, to get towards Soul Point is huge. But there's nothing in the goal difference, right? Like, you can see there's a little bit coming through on the top side, which is basically even out on the bottom lane as Supa's managed to pick up a bunch of these kills and starting to get into a position as well. So I think this is where it again comes down to execution, and that time around MKOI thought they had that split second engage, but it was a great flash away from Oscarinin.
Yeah.
But if the next time around they can catch him, that could easily be an MKOI victory.
He's having a good game. Baron's not really going to start here, folks. The control ward placed down Elyoya. The Baron was aggroed, but I gotta say, when this guy came under a lot of scrutiny, it does feel like today he's loving League of Legends. He must, because this Aurora game is pretty clean so far.
Yeah, and kind of got left on his own, right?
Yeah,
he just kind of got to farm up against Myrwn, got that great trade in the early stages that netted him the start of that lead. And then when it comes towards the Mikyx having a couple of trips up towards that top side, it's really started to extend that lead. Here we go.
Onto Jojo, a heal as well. A taunt comes through. They're chasing a Galio. That's 3 members down, and On the Hunt is now on pause for upset.
The TP comes through from Myrwn, though. MKOI thought that might have been a bit too far coming through from Fnatic. But I think if you're Fnatic, you're pretty happy with that. You now have the teleport advantage and can try and play through it.
Boy, Hail of Arrows is good, though, from Myrwn. As you said, that TP advantage is big, but if MKOI makes something of it, it's even bigger for them. Good burst here from Oscarinin, trying to poke through the brushes as MKOI get curious about what lies ahead. The ball out from Poby as well, getting zoned away from mid as Fnatic at 27.5 minutes will finally find their mid lane turret.
They should be able to now swiftly move across and start to establish a bit more vision here. But Elyoya goes.
Elyoya, it's great with the Crescent Guard. He's waiting, but they bring the Galio in yet again. Onto Mikyx only, but it's enough. Poby is down. Elyoya out the back of the pit is trying to force away Razork, and he does that successfully too. Mikyx gets low, but Fnatic are left with 4, and MKOI have the advantage.
These snap engages from MKOI are starting to pay off now. Again, we said once those flashes are down, you're another target, and it's Poby who's first on the chopping block. Baron now wants to follow.
Oscarinin, it's up to him. We highlighted him a second ago. Level 16 here. He can snap it himself, but the engage comes first from Movistar KOI between worlds to get out of there, but Jojo's landing and waiting as Alvaro jumps on in. Razork has to run for his life as well as Mikyx gets to disengage out, but he gets rooted in the process. His Magnet Storm is defensive, but it won't mean crap as MKOI slam down Fnatic again.
I don't think MKOI can go for the Baron, though. Poby up in a couple of seconds with TP, so it will be Mikyx giving his life to stop MKOI taking that Baron away. But still, you can see how quickly MKOI want to try and turn this, because this engage from Elyoya was beautiful, playing off a vision immediately onto Poby, giving that that tunnel into the fight for Alvaro, and then Fnatic just have to run for the hills. They've lost their mid laner, and at least Mikyx was able to come back and delay some of it if you're a Fnatic fan. But MKOI showing that they're more than happy to continue to take these fights, and they know that if they can find these picks, they have that chance to take this to a game 1 win.
It's not like delaying the Baron here is really all that expensive for them. Super is still scaling out of his mind. Like, upset cannot stand up to him. And then Mikyx here, a little bit late to the show, gets caught out. So for MKOI, this game one is getting more and more interesting. We have had a seesaw of results, but that Baron still stays standing, and Dragon Soul's up in 40 seconds.
And those flashes will stay down now for MKOI coming into it, so Elyoya won't have access to it.
Who we got?
So we'll have to see how that one is going to try and continue forward, but everything almost back up here for Fnatic. I think that's going to make them significantly more threatening. Myrwn trying to get that push onto the top side, and you can see a lot of infrastructure set up on that bottom side to give MKOI the vision that they need.
But now GA picked up Elyoya, so even though he doesn't have his flash, he can still commit and stick around to buy a little bit more time. Worth mentioning here that 80 carries are on towards their fourth item here, is doing a lot of damage. On the hunt, pop by Upset.
And the ultimate from Myrwn as well.
And he gets burst between worlds. Oscarinin has done a good bit of damage. Going in is Jojo, wins a 4 to complete, but he's already punched his way in. Myrwn is low. He no longer has flash, and Fnatic have control of the Baron side river.
So Myrwn immediately popped the ultimate, but Razork cloned back over the wall, so it was only the clone that got hit by the chains of corruption. And now they're trying to split the dragon for the Baron, and Fnatic are calling it.
Alvaro needs to get in now at 8k. Even though the dragon goes down, they have no AD carry. Fnatic need to rush this before the whole cavalry arrives. Elyoya is zoned out. The enemy jungler can't get anywhere near Fnatic on this. Baron is secure. It is done. Razork gets the smite, gets out, but over the wall. Jojo flashes, finds only one, but it's the most important of them all. A shockwave helps, but it's not enough to complete the kills. Shut down over to Upset. One Baron down.
Fnatic are just trying to scatter. Poby hiding off in the bush, won't be stopped by Myrwn. Mikyx managed to escape into MKOI's jungle, so Upset will fall, but the Baron will go to Fnatic.
I feel like Poby Shockwave saved a lot of that play as well from the follow-up, but made it take a little bit longer to kill Upset regardless. One of the raid bosses is down as we look at this replay again, because this was just a rush to secure.
But look how much work Mikyx's doing, keeping Elyoya out of the play, making sure that nothing can happen. And Alvaro, again, manages to go in and get some decent damage, but MKOI can't really follow up. And at this stage, it's just Fnatic. Everyone run for the hills. Jojo with the taunt over the wall works out perfectly for them. But you see, Poby, he just runs to the bush. No one on MKOI able to get there in time to prevent him.
True.
And as well, you've also got the escape for Mikyx. So one member for that Baron, I think you're happy with that as Fnatic.
I think you are too. It is just exciting how Movistar KOI keep finding little things. I mean, some of them have been big, but little things in that play to keep this game still very competitive. I want to point out as well, Supa on 4 items versus a Sivir who's on 3.5. So Supa still has an advantage here, as indicated by the gold. And even though this Baron is taken, I am very curious as to what Fnatic can actually get with it. There are no other neutral objectives. And pushing out into sides right now, as Alvaro shows his face, is what they're trying to do. Trying to get this bot push in Dagda, as they've got inners up on every single lane to acquire some gold.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Poby has gone for the Shadow Flame. I thought he would opt in towards the Void Staff at this stage, going up against Jojo with just how much magic resist is there. But Jojo hiding in the bush will spot Poby. But again, we're kind of in a bit of a split map scenario. Myrwn pushing into this top side and Fnatic committing to this bottom lane.
Also because of the 40%, a lot of the time the burst goes past it, but I can understand with things like Galio, Zhao too, that Shadow Flame is going to be more valuable for them. Regardless, I think itemization for 4 is going to be my biggest question for Poby. Will he get there is the biggest question, because this game is hanging and teetering on a nice edge right now, as they got in a turret in Fnatic, but so far that's been the only play, as they're sitting net neutral with the actual Baron take itself.
Yeah, I still, at least for Fnatic, you get that tower, you manage to reset, you have Oscarinin holding onto that mid wave, and you deny the wave on the bottom side. So overall, Fnatic happy with that trade. But again, I think that we're just waiting for this 2 minutes. It's try and scramble for as much gold on the map before that Dragon Soul appears once more. And for Fnatic, their Baron buff is about to wear off, so there's no more opportunities for them to play out on the map.
They're going to get 1 or 2 more waves in top at the very least. MKOI here to defend, and the great thing is Varus can start poking some of them out, and Myrwn doing exactly that. The hail of arrows come through as well, and this wave is kind of stagnated. Alvaro turns it into an engage, but the shattering strike, Mikyx, beautiful! He predicts the engage while a Cyclone comes in, followed up with a shockwave. Elyoya brings the light of the sun into play. Now he backs off. His GA not run away. Razork ran into turret range into a Xayah. That whole sequence of play from him wasn't that great, but he will survive.
I was going to say, like, you're fine with how all that ended up operating. You managed to get that pick, or at least deny Elyoya that push on the top side, and you could have stuck around with this next wave and maybe look for some pressure on the top tier 2, but now flashless with 1:20 until that crucial dragon fight, that could have been huge for that, but now it's gone for Fnatic.
Fnatic going to use a TP as well. TP from Mikyx, okay. Makes a lot more sense as Poby here to receive the wave. Dagda, you talked about Dragon, a minute away What are these key items? What are we looking at here as Vision tries to approach from Fnatic and River?
Yeah, I feel like Upset, there we go, I was about to say, should be very close to his Lord Dominic's regard. Just finished that one off there. Okay. So he's going to be very strong in these fights. But MKOI, off of the reset from Fnatic, now pushing in onto this bottom side, going to establish way more vision control. And these choke points for a Chain of Corruption or even a pick could work wonders for MKOI.
Oscarinin is sitting by mid lane right now. MKOI still hovering over bushes, that banana bush, and this one adjacent to Dragon. Mikyx is just face checking. Razork sits in brush, waiting as well. MKOI trying to pick off at least somebody, as Alvaro is going to be the first target. Oscar now spotted on Vision as well. Myrwn trying to poke out too, and for a game one, holy dooly. We are delivering on the precipice of my heart at the very least, and the trepidation, big words need to be used. Elyoya, a slim miss there onto Razork.
They have zero vision where MKOI are, though. All these brushes are so dangerous to enter as Fnatic.
Oscar, he's in, invisible. Pops, Elyoya, good damage. The ball goes out, zones out as well. Myrwn tries to do the same. Dragon sits there waiting.
They know that Razork's in the bush, though. I think he was spotted on the wards as he went to go in, so MKOI aware that there we go, that Dragon is started, and it's by the monkey.
Elyoya's going to face check. Razork sits there waiting to clone out, but he sits there. Burst! The burst from Oscar! And now going into a GA. It could be Fnatic 5, but Elyoya brings it back. Alvaro sends it in, and Jojo flies as well. Three-man shield to Duran. One over to Supa. Jojo flashes out. The disengage is good as MKOI have lost their jungler. Mikyx is dead in the dumps as well as Oscar at full HP is the burst to look at. Shockwave, two members. Flash from Oscar! I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. Myrwn left isolated as the better top is loving League of Legends today.
Who the hell is this man in the top lane for Fnatic? He is popping off on this Aurora and single-handedly denying MKOI access to this dragon.
We've got beautiful shockwaves, but hey, we've got a beautiful man looking out to see if Myrwn's in his way. 500 kills in the LEC, and Oscar and Aurora are lovers made in paradise at this point.
Insane performance from Oscarinin. The burst damage onto Elyoya, the reposition again, even the positioning in these fights from him has been absolutely spectacular. You watch as he comes in over the wall here, ends up getting a ton of damage onto Elyoya, but as this engage from Alvaro comes through, which was fantastic, but he ends up repositioning up and then to wrap around everyone, which then sets up, as Fnatic want to go for the re-engage, to then start to pick off members over and over. Here you can see Invisible comes through and then just sets up alongside Poby with this shockwave to finish off everyone. So well played by Fnatic.
This is one of those games where flashes just mean so much, don't they?
Yeah.
Man, insane fight. And again, this is only the brink. This is only game one to go to Worlds, to go to Madrid. This is only our taster, as at 5K Fnatic now in the lead with a soul as well. The first meaningful lead in this game has just arrived.
And now the push for Fnatic will start on this top side. Ocean Soul to their name, which means poke from Myrwn. Going to be negligible when it hits health bars, but at least should help in getting rid of some of these waves. But again, I mean, all this, as you can see, the little grubbies coming through, going to work out well for Fnatic and starting to push on down. At this stage, MKOI, they need a miracle, and it may need to try and come from Alvaro, but with no flash, it makes it very difficult for him to try and find that setup for MKOI.
Look how hard it is to step up the wave. It's only Myrwn with range wave clear. Supa needs to get there, but the cannon is a problem. The poke not landing on the cannon means that's going to continue thriving, and Jojo's now looking for mid-wave himself, but as he moves over, maybe MKOI can start a fight with his ulti up and available, but Fnatic are playing it patient. They're not overstepping.
Yeah, just trying to put a point of pressure on the map for MKOI is Jojo now going to start to move back.
Oscar.
But Fnatic, I think they should get this top side.
As he goes in, Viz comes out, his auto attacks, the MP, wrong game. The mana scaling, let's call it ability power, that's what it is. To auto attack stack, you know what I'm talking about. I went from MP to mana to ability power, we're there. He does a lot of turret damage, that's the point. And he's got a Magi's. Like, who is this guy? You're right. Look at that.
Yeah. And especially now, Fnatic go for the reset, a 2.5k Red Bull Baron power play. This Fnatic side is so set up. I mean, across the board, you're going to see final items starting to be completed. They can start to position now onto towards this bottom side and put this pressure further into the hands of MKOI, and I just don't know how they're supposed to hold.
Yeah.
Like look at the summoner spells from Alvaro. He knows that he has to try and make some magic happen, but without the flash, it's so much more difficult to try and do that.
Supa sitting in brush here. Razork's just running at them. Look how confident he is onto Alvaro. Good engage. And the burst from Supa actually meaningful too. But remember, with Ocean Soul and being in a jungle, Razork will be fine, especially taking away the red buff here, which is more jungle resources negated. That Red Bull Baron power play is 15 seconds off depleting. So the game won't end yet. MKOI are not out of this yet. It is just a very hard game to play for Soul here, as that definitely feels like that's going to be where we land.
Yeah, Fnatic, once more resetting. I thought they were trying to synchronize their waves there with the large minion wave that's coming in on the top side with the super minions. That will end up as a double super minion lane. So I think you could try and look for it, but now they've looked for the reset. MKOI can kind of deal with that separately. And it's just Poby who's down on this bottom side pushing in. So I think it will be just Fnatic kind of understanding at this stage they're in a very strong position, and not wanting to overextend for these turrets and giving MKOI that opportunity with Alvaro to find the re-engage.
I think closing out the game, Fnatic, look, in this region alike, a lot of teams securing games and getting it across the finish line has been the problem. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that sometimes games should end and they don't, but this is the upper echelon of playoffs. This is the start of playoffs, but this is a single best of 5 that secures you into yet another world championship. Both these teams are renowned for making worlds. Movistar KOI in the past, Mad Lions were just always there. And people didn't like it all the time, but they made it. They were the ones who got across the finish line. Fnatic, the same as well. You can count on them as... Let's see where we land. At least only in game 1, that Elder's 1 minute away. Teleport
They're trying to sneak. They're trying to see if they can get in behind Upset as he comes back in and look for the pick. Supa now showing up mid-wave. But it's like Fnatic are doing the same.
They're doing the same onto Myrwn. They get away the Knight's Vow, the shield at least. In comes Elyoya, rather Alvaro Dagda. But is he on a ward? I think
he avoided the vision. Okay. So actually didn't end up walking over, but now he's in behind Fnatic.
They know. I feel like they know. Upset steps forward. The edge of Alvaro's seen. He's seen. And now Upset just walks past, sends him away. Xayah and Upset means he's a little bit more safe with Spell Shield, with everything up and available. Myrwn kites back. TP from Jojo.
Yeah, but with that spotted, MKOI have kind of been foiled here. So Fnatic happy to keep positioning by just pushing in and contesting this mid wave and then holding pressure for that Elder Dragon. 25 seconds off.
Oscar doing it again. He pops between worlds, sends Myrwn to Mars. He has to flush away to get out of the atmosphere. Now that Myrwn's got no flush and Magnustorm starts off, Alvaro goes in and he's dead in an instant. Upset stands and says, see ya. And Fnatic have 5, MKOI have 4.
Birds on the menu for Fnatic.
Myrwn, he's got no flash and he's stepping up to a Rell win on the hunt, and Mikyx knows his target. Easily done. Jojo will come in, but his carry is dead. Super over the wall is exhausted. He's hitting good onto Mikyx, but again, with a redemption, with an Ocean Soul, only Fnatic can keep on fighting. A flash over misses, but it won't matter with a GA and a Cyclone. It's Fnatic's day. We haven't seen them in 4 weeks, but they've been cooking good.
This has been insane from Fnatic, and Oscarinin leading this charge alongside Upset to take Fnatic to a game 1 win.
A game 1 win done in style. A Fnatic that pulled apart the pieces. 2 more to go.
I'm in shock. That was an incredibly strong performance from Fnatic, and you could see there were moments where MKOI threatened to try and take this game back, but some clutch performances in the team fight sealed the deal.
I feel like the MKOI mid game was fantastic, but that man who, you know, Mikyx DD has a great smile and a great Rell.